Okay, I'm sat here anyway. Might as well get it started. Volume looks okay. Maybe a little low. There we go. Marcy, Connie, how you doing? Ads. Ooh. Oh, okay. So if I go over here, truncate this table. Yes. Tables. Truncate this table. Tony, hello. You good? Thank you. Do my workout, now the boring stuff, collecting cookbook. Holland data. Wow. Nice. I started my day with a walk with the dogs, and now I am trying to get GitHub working. So forgive me if I'm a bit all over the place. Yes, I did change camera. This is a stream OBS Bot 2 Lite camera, so it will try and follow me a little bit, so I can move around more. And it has a better. It doesn't need as much ISO adjustment as my main camera. I got it because I want to stand more over the summer to get the standing desk up, and I fidget, so this will do better at keeping track of me. Yeah. I owe you tax. How do I owe you tax? So we have a doggo cam. No, not yet. I'll work on it. I promise I'll work on it. So what I'm doing right now is two-factor auth. 5.2. Okay, so we install that one. I hope GitHub doesn't penalize me for having registrations added. A lot better than my Logitech 720p. Yeah, this is 4K 30. So it is a much better camera. It does, however, show that I'm slouching a lot easier. I haven't got it tracked up to my face quite as tight, but it does move, which is good. Yeah, I do have several cameras to use for doggo cams. I just don't have the space or the setup to actually put them in anywhere decent that would. I don't have this. The dogs are actually under a desk, so I'm not putting a camera under my desk, or under a different desk. So, but anyway, onto what I'm doing today. So what I've been working on the last couple of days is I got the delivery piece working enough to uh, get this working. So now you can create a release. You can define a release. You define a release as a name, who is owning that release, and a release date. And then you can add tasks into the release. So you can associate whatever tasks you want into that release and track them. So the next phase of that is to allow you to understand if the actual work for that task has been merged into, if the PR for it is outstanding and has it been merged. I don't care how you do the branching, whether you branch for a release or you branch and you're merging it to develop. If there's a PR outstanding for a task, that is still classed as outstanding, right? So wherever it's going to be merged into is the point. We can worry about that later as a refinement if people think, oh, it needs more work. So anyway, what I've got working now, or hopefully I've got working now, we're about to test it for the first time, is to connect GitHub. So the way this works is you pop up this dialog, connect to GitHub organization. Now this is going to link to my TBD develop organization. Kaizu app is in Kaizu organization. So it's a completely separate organization to the one I'm adding in right now. If I continue to GitHub, what's going to happen is it's going to navigate to GitHub and say, hey, who do you want to, install on your account? And which repositories do you want to add it on? And it's going to do read access, metadata, and pull requests. Foreign guy, good day, how are you doing? And then when I click install, it will redirect, it will make me do two-factor again. I suppose that's fair. It'll then redirect back into my application and now show this is pending. This is a temporary status, but if I refresh the screen, it'll give me the button back again. But now I have an organization over here in the GitHub piece that actually worked really well, really quickly. So the tenant identifier was published from the Kafka side there with an installation ID and a tenant identifier. At the same time, the GitHub webhook from SME hit this endpoint and added this record. So the two combine into one record. I was kind of afraid of that not working because obviously you've got the webhook firing immediately and then the update from the Kafka side coming a little bit later on, but it seems they just aligned perfectly. So now I have this table in the LS GitHub piece, which is organizations. What this means is when I get a notification from GitHub now, I have an installation ID that GitHub notification is for, and that aligns to a tenant identifier. So now I can look up any installation ID and get tenant identifier. So if you install this in your app, you'll have a different installation ID. In your version of Kaizu, you'll have a different installation ID, and now you're a different tenant. It does support multiple installations per tenant, but that's for right now. I'm going one-to-one. Over here, what happened is, yeah, there we go. So when it created the initial call, it creates a record in this table, the install state tokens, and then when I get that confirmation back, there's my installation ID, and now it's pending. So what I need to do is confirm that I've got all the record data on the other side, and then say this is complete, right? So this is active, and that's kind of what I'm trying to show here. As yet, I haven't done any view stuff, so all this is happening without any view updates, etc. And right now, I'll focus purely on the updates rather than actually worrying about any domain events, etc. Flux8948 whoop. Is that who I think it is? And hello, welcome in. So yeah, we have the register organization can be actually fired from two different places. So the webhook processor will start the workflow, which is to go and say, hey, create this. So the webhook will have multiple events for the same event type. So you can have created, deleted. So if I send a deleted, this will actually remove it as well. I think I should have seen the deleted, yeah. Yeah, so if I want to do deleted, I can add the and for right now, if parameters.action equals deleted. Worry about refinement once we've got the patterns in place, right? Not mess around with trying to over-engineer enums or states, etc. We can also do remove. Now, the challenge with remove would be, actually, I'm not going to do this right this second. The challenge with remove would be I'd have to publish an event to say this organization was removed. I'd have to then go and clean up this connection record, and any hooks or configurations for other things. Because if you remove the configuration, you don't have access, which means you have to remove all the GitHub branches and stuff that you've recorded. So yeah, what I want to focus on today is getting the actual PRs, or rather the branches first, and then the um, um, PRs. I'm going to create a dummy repo in my organization. That's a good point. Does everything get added automatically? Or do I have to add it into the configuration? Let me see. So I've installed GitHub app. Oh, oh, it's set to all repositories, right? So if I select the repositories, then I have to go and manually add it back into the integration. That's interesting. I have to know that that's not happening. Okay. So, I mean, there's not much else to do on this piece, right? It's just it's going to show connected eventually. So let's start with that event that confirms this, and then we'll do view so we can see that this is linked. We'll worry about delete later, because delete would actually be unlink, rather, would have to be either from this side or the other side. So that's a much bigger piece that I don't want to tackle right this second. This was not the most fun to sort out because there's a lot of moving parts, and you'll see I've got a lot of things to commit. I had to get my head around the workflow. I had to get the pieces in place. There's certain things it can't do. I had to get Shmi installed. Shmi, me, whatever you want to call it. I like the but it's Shmi. I'm not Sean Connery. Sorry, brain. So, from an architecture standpoint, this GitHub service sits outside of um, sits outside of the gateway. So it doesn't. It's its own entry point. And when I configure the application, this has to be its own entry point. It's authenticated via um, secrets that I've already configured with GitHub. So when you set up the application, you kind of set up the secrets, etc. So it's authenticated that way. This has to be public facing because the webhook hooks into it. To get this working on a local host, I had to configure Aspire, and now Aspire says, "Well, if you're running it, let's create a SME channel. Let's configure this target. Let's get this all set up." And there you go. So now SME starts up with Aspire, and now that's listening, and that basically proxies those webhooks inside. So we have. I can't show you SME. Well, I can show you SME actually. There's no key on screen anymore. When you first start it up, it shows the actual key, and that would be bad because anyone could pick that up and then use that endpoint and get all the notifications of events. So I've got to be careful. So anyway, here's the installations. So this is the one I just received. It says, "Hey, here you go." Here's a list of things, and it gives you this object. It has the installation. It has all the information it needs. There's nothing secret in there. The list of repositories and who sent it, with all the subscription stuff. So it gives you a full object there. And then if I leave that up, um, then I can I can get that working. Sorry, 1 second. Maybe. Hello, how you doing? I'm good. I'm good. Let me install that one for right this second. Let's do this. Truncate the table again. For the record, this man is doing all the big brain stuff at 7 a.m. What else you may do it, really? I mean, it's fine. I just realized I did 100% share something I shouldn't have done on stream then. So I've had to quickly change that part. By showing the URL, you show the SME channel. So yeah, that's fun. Okay, that's fixed. There you go. Okay. Well, me showing it on stream, my love and admiration for Stony. I always show that. Well, heads up, Stony, if you decide to stream today, there's not a chance in heck I'm going to be doing anything but lurking. You have a full day. Okay, so let's get this committed because it's about time I got something working. Yeah, let's do that. Fine then, no stream. I didn't say that. You should stream. Just saying I won't be there. I'll try and maintain my streak though. I don't think I said don't stream it. If I'm the decider on when you stream, that's not good. Okay, so yeah, lots of moving parts in this one. This is all that's been required to get that up and running. So, new events for GitHub connection integration events. We have changes to. Oh, these are changes to. What are these for? Because they are. Sometimes I do wish I had a bigger screen. Although it wouldn't make streaming very easy. Oh, I removed. Oh yeah, source user identifier. This was a correction. Your alert participation ratio is out of whack. My problem is if I sit there participating all the time, I don't get anything done, and I like hanging out and chatting. That's the problem. So I can't be so chatty. I have to be more focused on the actual work. So these are just changes to make sure we're not pushing source user identifier. Stream is about chatting, not coding. Yeah, but me doing work coding, well, work, not even coding, is necessary. Through unnecessary source user identifier set as it's handled in base notification time. Get them out of the way first. That's what code looks like. Yeah, it's not unsurprisingly, code does not look like this. And that's a tough concept. Hugo, hello, how you doing? And that might be all the ones I need to do right now. Yes. So again, to set this up, I had to create a new project. That new project had to have a receipt, well, a new component to the system. That new component had two pieces: an API facing endpoint, and we'll go into that in a minute. We're going to add the webhook stuff for that, and then the receivers. Um, the receiver in this case is receiving that event coming from the Kafka piece, which is happening when I add the thing through the UI. The processor here, so I'm using optokit.webhooks, which gets set up via, here's how I authenticate with it, etc. SME just passes through the information, right? It's just a proxy, so that's why it's working. I've set it up locally. It it is it's sharing that channel, and then it's forwarding that information. Um, and this is the OctoKit library, map webhooks. It goes in there, and now I have this processor. The processor is defined by setting up what is the webhook event processor, right? So we configure that. This is going to get kind of messy, sadly, because if I have dependencies in here, I'm going to have to insert all of them in here, which I'm not a fan of. But yeah, I can worry about the cleanliness of that later. But in here is going to be override. Um, that's installation. We're going to have pull somewhere. Pull request review comment. Pull request review thread. Pull request webhook async. So that's the pull request one. Quite sure which actual um, yeah, push webhook, and you can listen to release, and you can listen to all sorts of other things. So if we do a push, then we'll get a notification, and we can decide if we need to know about that thing. So that's where those processes are going to go. And in every case, I'm basically just going to pass it through pretty quickly to something else that handles it, rather than doing any particular logic in here. I might deal with actions at this level. I don't know. I think it's better to leave it to that workflow. So the workflow is where that gets triggered. Workflow is similar to the mediator pattern. I'm just using my own library for doing that, so that I get away from mediator in that particular case. And then I don't blur the lines on what is mediator more. I say don't blur the lines, but I do blur the lines a lot in how I do the system. So it is fine. So yeah, that's that. Uh, ba, ba, ba. We've added a new permission in here. Permissions are, you add them here, and then you can use them in the application on endpoints, etc. Um, and by adding it there when the application starts, it inserts it into all the areas. It makes the system synchronize this list of permissions, and will then present a UI component for that chatbot. So the moment I edit here and go to the UI, I'll see a you know uh, add GitHub organization. So yeah, and I'm actually working on. I've got a plan in place for dealing with using this method to determine levels of access. So if you have one of these, then you have administration access, but you might not see GitHub, and then you might not be able to see add. So being more granular on these permission styles is what I intend to do. So yeah. Anyway, add permission for add GitHub organization. The API gateway, the only thing that changed is I added a connections route for GitHub. This is the piece that is authenticated. So when you go and open that screen, you get the button, that's all authenticated, because it has to. The workflow there, by the way, is very strange. I don't think I went into that much. Well, it's not strange, it's just So organization management is going to own GitHub component, right? Own the configuration within the organization of GitHub. So first you do the fetch install URL, which is a post. Actually, let's rename this. Initiate install, make it more command sounding, right? But it really is get me a URL, right? So initiate install goes in here and adds a GitHub install state token into here, right? You call this every time, you get a state token every single time, and it'll give you a URL back, which will go to whatever our registered app is for linking GitHub. In this case, Kaizu IODev. And it'll use that token as the CSRF token. When you configure the application, you set up what the return URL is. And I had to set up a route in the app, the Angular app, and that's what it returns to, which then forwards it to this one, the callback. And this is the one that says, yep, we've got an install, everything's good. So if we go in here, this is okay. Are we installing? Yes, we are. The funny thing is, GitHub uses install on this one, but on the other side calls it create. Created, sorry. I suppose this is an action rather than whatever, but anyway. So this callback is going to determine whether we have the connection, and if not, we'll add that connection in, and then we publish this event. This event then maps this installation ID on the GitHub side of the application, so that those two things combine. And now we can push messages out into the wider system with an actual tenant identifier. We don't need to go and figure that out anywhere else. So I'll map that anywhere else. So that was not an easy workflow because I couldn't test pieces very simply. So I ended up writing a lot of code to try and get that working. And it does. So we have add, actually that's route, GitHub, connections in gateway to organization management. The more I do with this stuff as well, the more I think that it's this project is definitely not something that one person should be doing at this point. Hold on, we need to do this in a different order. So the GitHub components themselves, the organization management components, these can be separate. I do have some tests. I need to add more tests. My issue when I'm writing this sort of stuff is TDD is great if I know what I'm building. But being that I was kind of following some guides that I'd built out through Claude, which got it very wrong, by the way. Claude would have wasted. I gave it quite a good description of what I wanted and how I wanted to do it and what pieces lived in the system. If I'd have left Claude to code this, it would have changed really much my entire architecture to achieve this with what it proposed the first time around. It was not anywhere near right. So that was kind of scary. Anyway, organization management, provide GitHub, initiate, install, and the callback. So the callback again is only that you have to set up your return URL in your GitHub application to make sure it redirects when it's completed that thing. Otherwise, it'll just leave you on GitHub. And being that we require that confirmation, that ain't good. So that has to happen. Otherwise, your install will be hanging. Actually, it wouldn't be hanging. It just wouldn't complete the install. So it'd create the state token, and that'd just be empty. So the way to know that if people are having trouble would be to say, oh, there's an inordinate amount of state tokens created and no installs. When the install completes, I remove the state token, so there's no risk of it being triggered again. And it's the CSRF token is, again, it's authenticated, that call. So it has to come from the same person who created it to be complete. So, in my opinion, it would be pretty difficult to break that flow. Callback endpoints to establish CSRF token and publishing. So this is create GitHub webhook application for receiving. I'm very glad that I've got that AutoKit exists. That's going to help this a lot. It cleans up that code. Yeah. Just an excuse. Just using me as an excuse. Create GitHub webhook application receiving GitHub webhooks. Receivers application for. Nice. Good job, Dora. Application for Kafka to complete installation. Not like I need a vast amount of oh yeah. This was making sure that that's set and removing the set. That yeah, removing the set. Remove ability to set source. When using default configuration event. So yeah, it's just a behavioral change there. GitHub connection event published when a GitHub connection is established. Hi Phils, hello. How you doing? Okay, let's get all this off my machine so we don't have. That's a lot of PR, a lot of changes. The reality is, this is going to be one big PR. That's nothing I can avoid right this second because, again, if I was working on this as part of a team, then the GitHub piece would have been a PR. The receiver part of this would have been a PR. The setup would have been right. They could have been separate things added at different times, but it's just not. It's not practical for me to branch and do that much stuff individually at this point. That one you can do. Okay, so let's run it once more. Get the new organization established. So again, I remove the organization. We'll test it again. Actually, before I do that, let's do the other event that we need. The beauty of having the Aspire integration set up now is that only when Aspire starts does all the other services try and start. So it means that I don't have to try and stop 21 different services running here. So what we need to do is when we have GitHub connection integration event, that is we've installed a GitHub connection. We've established that connection, so that's why it's a GitHub connection integration event. When the webhook completes that, or our event updates it, and we have all the information we need, we now have a full connection. So we want to show this connection as being GitHub connection status integration event. I don't like using the word integration event on everything. We may do one massive refactoring. Now I'm seeing the pattern so heavily, it starts to look, and it starts to, especially when I'm using it this way. Morning, Mojo. How you doing? We'll go with it. We'll go with it for now. So this is going to be GUID strings, event source, GUID source user identifier. Default integration event, event source. There you go. Wow. So this will have public long installation ID attached to it, and public GUID tenant identifier. And those two pieces of information installation. Right. So this is going to look almost identical to, well, it's going to be identical to this one, right? But it represents a different thing. Because what we're going to do is we're going to publish that from over here, not from over there. So yeah, it seems wasteful, but it is valid. And we don't actually public. I'm going to say string status for now, but we'll worry about that later. So again, right now, in the installation workflow, when I register the organization, I'm going to do this here. What I might do later on is change these around to be more of those aggregate style events where the domain events trigger and publish, but I'm trying to establish how I want this behavior to be. Really, these aren't necessarily the same as a deliverable or a task, etc. They don't have that natural behavior around them right this second. So as I evolve it, I can refactor this and change it. But for right now, it's easier and more readable to keep it present there. So we need an I event publisher. We want to publish this straight to Kafka from here. That's another thing that would be shortcut if I change the other way, then it's kind of a domain event locally that publishes, and then we publish the larger event. But I think for right now, we'll do it this way. So await. Now, the weird thing is here, My book club has 9 going, 115 interested. Everyone's interested in book club. It's just finding the time to do it and read it. The cafe this thing is that cannot hold 115 people. Oh, an in-person book club. Wow. Okay, that's a whole different concept. That's a lot of people if you get 115 showing up. The reason I'm pausing is because I'm trying to think about the order of operations here. So if I publish this event of GitHub connection integration event, and that hits before the GitHub webhook has said, yeah, this is good, what does status mean in that respect? So we have installation status. It is what it is. Or is it operational status? I suppose the operational status would come from events actually appearing. You just assumed online for me. Yeah, it's fine. So, is it good enough to publish this then? And hold on. I've missed a part here as well. That's what I'm not catching. Tenant identifier equals command dot tenant identifier. So organization here. That can be null. That can be null. Those can't be null, right? Equals date time dot utc now. Right, we'll default those fields. So we don't need to do that. Source user command dot. Right. So the challenge here is those events could happen at different times, right? The webhook could take a time to get here and confirm that GitHub's done what it needs to do. And similarly, the event from the Kafka side could take a while. So I'm calling the same register from both directions. And that's why these are nullable properties here, because they actually are nullable because the record might not have everything it needs. Once it's got everything it needs to publish the event. So what I'm trying to consider here is, at what point do I actually publish an event? Now, the second one in is going to do the update, right? So this case is going to be the update. If I suppose this becomes a little bit more nuanced. This is where a unit test would definitely help me, but I need to understand what I'm trying to do before I write unit tests, because I'm not trying to. I know that's backwards. Is null and command.tenant is not null. That can't happen. So if we have everything and we're passing, so in the case of the the webhook firing second. And what we've just seen is that when we've added it before, is it's almost happened instantaneously. They've happened quick enough that both of them have hit there and everything's fine. But in the event that in the event that the webhook is delayed, that's going to come in here. It's going to find a organization by the installation ID, which means that's not null. But the tenant ID that we're passing in is going to be null because we don't have that information from the webhook side. However, that is also, from this perspective, confirmation that yeah, we always want to fire it. Await, publisher.publish, async, organization.identifier, new, GitHub connection status integration. And we'll use this as, again, later for the deletes and stuff like that as well. So yeah, this is going to be this is a weird one. So name of register organization. So where did this event come from is the purpose of that, not some sort of flag on what type of event it is. And we need like that. Oh, yeah. Status equals completed. Actually, I'm gonna follow that pattern. I'm gonna start using that pattern. These are required pieces of information. I think that's a much cleaner way of doing that. I should be using that already. Tenant identifier equals oh, that can't be null, yeah. So in this case, this might have just updated that information, and that would get updated, but this has to be set. So if this is the webhook hitting this piece won't necessarily be set because that will already be set because the other event created it, right? So the record exists. So only one of the other can actually have created that record. So that's what's important there. If you are new to the stream and you're watching along, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you are more than welcome to ask. I'm happy to talk about this as much as I am to code it. But if you're enjoying hanging out and being productive with me, that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you all. If you like software development, and you like watching apps be built, and you want to see an even bigger app built on stream, you can go check out Stony. Stony develops No Mercy, the effortless encoder, which is an application and a full stack at this point for owning your own media. So your CDs, your DVDs, your Blu-rays, etc. You can rip them and store them on your own storage, and then watch it from anywhere around the world through the application. And it's freaking awesome. Okay. What? I don't want to save the Twitch page. So, okay. So now that event will fire. When we register the organization. Again, this handler, this command is sent from two places in this application stack. It's sent from the receiver of the integration event, and it's sent from the webhook side. So rather than create two completely different handlers, I decided to use one command because each one of them needs to do their part towards the thing. So this is kind of the eventually consistent part. Could they hit at the same time? Possible. I could try and put a semaphore on here. However, that wouldn't do me much good, being that they're both running in separate processes. So I'd have to put a Redis lock of some form in here to avoid that. So we're just going to give that a chance right this second. But it is a risk that they could hit at the same time and then leave data missing. So we're going to keep an eye on that behavior, knowing that it can happen. I'm not equipped or informed enough to go and figure out how to do a Redis lock at this point. And I don't have the structure for it, so yeah. When what are they changing domain there? Oh yeah, we made them nullable. They actually are nullable in the database. I just didn't make that change, so they defaulted before. So they're nullable. Tenant, source user, they're nullable fields. I do believe. Yeah. Date is not null. That's null. Installation ID is null. That should never be null. Interesting. I'm gonna leave that alone for right now. I've gone through so many uh, changes. When a connection complete, we should publish installation complete event. So now we just need to create the receiver on the other side. This is a little bit more complicated because now there's actually infrastructure required for this piece. So with fanfare, I introduce project number 100 with no fanfare, I suppose. Organization management.receivers. I'm going to keep using the receiver's name, even though I've scrapped mass transit at this point and I don't have consumers. This is still my thin wrapper around a Kafka consumer. So I'm going to keep calling them receivers because they receive the consumed Kafka events without any Kafka fluff around them. So I think it's still fair to call them receivers. That, and I'd have to rename so much code I don't want to at this point. So we'll just go with the practicality of it not being quite a Kafka consumer. So that works for me, right? 100 projects. So sorry, I'm thinking. I think it's done it. I created a Claude skill. So to add a topic into Kafka, so that the system knows about it, I need to register it with console. I need to add it to Kafka, and I need to set it in my topics text so that when I recreate the system, the topics are all there. So I added a skill to just say, so I can just say, let's add a new topic. It's going to go to what we're going to call this one. Sorry. Yeah. So this is going to go to LS Liquid Sky GitHub connection. See, that's actually not bad. That's not a good name at this point. Connection status. It's going to go to Liquid Sky dot GitHub connection status, and the event will be what do we call it? Foundation events, GitHub connection status. Will be events dot integration dot events. I believe that's the format. Events integration events. Yeah, there we go. Average person, welcome in. How you doing? So that will go off and do that for me in the meantime. So now what we'll do is we'll start building out the next piece. Well, that's triggering away and adding that piece. Configuration. Receivers. Again, what this is going to do is this is going to receive this GitHub connection status integration event, and it's going to update the status of the application on this side of the house to say, yep, this is actually installed fine. Everything's good. So yeah. Average person, I hope you're well today. Welcome in. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, you're more than welcome to ask. The stream is not necessarily about me doing code all stream. So there we go. Now we've got the status. So that's there. Devin, how are you doing? And Frank, welcome in. Sorry I missed your stream yesterday. That was not intentional. I seem to have had 4 days recently. Okay, so to get this piece working, what we're going to do is I'm going to mimic what I did over here. So we need Microsoft extensions.hosting. So I'll add that in there. That gives the ability to get the application host in there. I don't need to specify Windows service or anything. I'm not doing anything drastic there. These will all be installed as these all run as containers anyway, so it's fine. We'll do that. Do that. We'll add our application host, Aspire service defaults, right? And now we can do the rest of these things. Now these come really from here. So if we do copy that, and that, right, we won't be far off. So refactor this, just namespaces. As long as I don't do an include straight away, I'll be fine. So database configuration is going to be identical because it's going to the same, it's going to a different side of the same module. So we're going to add a configuration, add configuration files, app settings JSON. There we go. Make sure that's added. Make sure that's copied out as content. Copy if newer. So we can add that in there. I automatically do that. Again, all the same because this is, yeah, necessary. Database configuration, host builder, Again, it's going to reference the same pieces. That's fine. We're going to have entity framework, npg SQL. Everything uses Postgres, so that's fine. So if we can get this working shortly, what will happen is when I go and add a GitHub organization, it's going to do that registration again because I've deleted it already on the other side. I changed the webhook thing, so that's all good. And I don't understand the structure at all. Zero, nada. You a developer? You a .NET dev? What brought you in? If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. Can't guarantee you get answers to everything, but I can guarantee you're allowed to ask, and there's no stupid questions. So this needs tbd develop dot Kafka outbots and console configuration. Want to be good solution architect to complete the clean architecture book though. Nice. That's more than I've done. I'm a big fan of practicing. So so some of this will seem familiar if you've done the clean architecture stuff, right? When I started this project, I had a different layout, and it wasn't too dissimilar, but that was my design. That was how I laid things out. And then early on, I decided that because I was streaming it, what I would do is I'd try and align more to clean architecture. So it would be easier for people to see that and go, oh, I know what that is. I know where that is. And then it's an easier reference. What I did is I went out and looked at all the major clean architecture reference projects and realized that they don't agree. They actually do differ in quite a few ways. So I had to figure out what my version of that was. So yeah. Mr. Anhorn, hello, how are you doing? I hope you're well. Okay. So again, these are able to be copied over here because this is just the different aspect of uh, um, different aspect of the organization piece. So we're good. I like how you structure your companies though, not clump all them inside the app side. Yeah. Yeah. This is so I can do that. And this is easier. We don't need the pipeline over this side. That's fine. Let's add the source generator. Oh, because I didn't add media outbox. Come on. Something's not right recently. Things are going a lot slower. I might actually, before the summer starts, I might try and get one of my other dev boxes, my smaller dev boxes configured on Linux and try and bring this all up on there. This machine needs a rest. So this is tbd develop mediated outbots Postgres. I don't know yet. I'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. I've used I can't remember the name. I've used a gaming arch based install on my game PC in the living room. And I kind of like that, but yeah, I might stick with that. Can't see how it matters that much. If I'm feeling spicy, I might bring that up on stream, and then we can have a debate over what the best Linux distro is. If I get the right people in here, it could use an entire stream. Okay, so I've got this working. This is all configured now. This is all ready to go. Actually, I need to be careful here. Add outbox publishing service. That can't happen there, and that can't happen there. So a pro and a con of this design. What did I do there? Come on. Yeah, a pro and a con of this design. As of yet, I have not figured out what I've not figured out this is Fedora. I've not figured out the ownership of these messages. So I have a service running that says, "Hey, check the outputs and publish the message," right? But if I have two of them running at the same time, both of them can publish the event, which means end up with a duplication of events, which, if I'm doing my job right, shouldn't be a major problem, but it's not something I want to do. So what I need to do is be able to bring these up and have them kind of share the load. So they basically load balance the outbox rather than own it. But that's a bit of a technical challenge because I haven't really figured out that, hey, who's connected, and then who's going to be the kind of the lead runner. So I've got to figure out that design, what that looks like. So for right now, all I do here is remove the publishing, the outbox pieces. They'll get put into the queue still. It just means that the service that runs in this one will be the one that pushes them out, which is not a problem because it's running outside of the regular process. So it doesn't hurt to do it that way. But it does mean I have to be very aware of it, that only one can be the publisher. If this service is down and this service is receiving events still, those events don't get published, but everything will still work. That's part of the design. So, yeah. Okay. And for reference, this is kind of what I'm working on right this second. For anyone who hasn't seen this diagram, this is kind of a common thing for me to share because it's the best picture of what this system does. I'm working currently on this GitHub integration piece. So what I'm working on right now is when we add a GitHub install, so we install the GitHub app for Kaizu into the application, that will update organization management. That publishes an event to say, oh, now I've got some connection details. Here you go. For this tenant, this is the installation ID. That gets received over here. When GitHub sends the webhook to confirm the installation, that will update this record here. And what I'm doing now is publishing that event back to come here to get into organization management, and that will now confirm that connection and say, yep, all good. We're going to get events for this thing. What do you use to draw that? This is Brain Obsidian with the Excalidraw plugin added into it, so I can keep it all as part of the overall ramblings of a man documentation. So yeah. So this is Kaizu is this. This is Liquid Sky. This is Control Tower. Together they complement to be the product. Right. So I need to use more Excalidraw instead of Draw.io. Yeah. 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 So this is the Excalidraw plugin. into there. So it just makes it much simpler to embed everything. You can put links in here as well. I think I do have some, which is nice. So I can link out. I can eventually start to document everything, and I can link out to all the individual pieces, all the individual descriptions of the behaviors, and all the documentation for these things. So I can actually use this as an actual clickable documentation system. Oh, how does attachments work? Oh, how does this work? I can do all that. So that's what I intend to do on this. People do seem to like this diagram in general. I like draw.io mainly because I can save it as an SVG and send it to GitHub and view them there. Ah, did you really just make that white? That's a bug. That actually broke my drawing. That's it turned it into light mode. In theory, that worked. You're right. Um, that was interesting. That was very interesting. I just wanted to test it. Either way. Okay. In theory, you can export to SVG. I'm not trying that again, though. Let's not try that. Okay. So on the receivers here, what we're going to do is we're going to create a receiver for. This is going to be the GitHub connection status receiver. I really need to determine whether I'm going to keep doing this because I've fallen into this pattern of tacking the name on. Like, this is the receivers project with the receivers folder and another thing called a receiver. The redundancy is, let's go with dumb. So we're going to use Kafka. We're going to use mediator here. So this is going to be an event receiver of GitHub connection status integration event, right? And that's going to receive that event. Over here, mediator, we configure builder.services.add transient, GitHub connection integration status receiver, and then we do dot brain. How do you'd think I'd know how to do this by now, wouldn't you? It's not like oh, it's Kafka, it's not mediator. It's Kafka. Derp. That's why. Of course it is. Add outbox publishing. Add dispatching consumer. Figure dot add event receiver. GitHub. There you go. So what this does is it registers a consumer task for every single one of these. So can get kind of heavy. That's something I'm gonna have to figure out eventually how to performance monitor. But this will create a task that runs for this one. And the idea of that is to isolate that topic, behavior, and dispatch so it can kind of get more throughput. Yeah, again, there's challenges here in terms of scaling, in terms of um, just general management. It's going to be this is the basics of the application, right? This is not the actual. There's a lot more challenges to come in this application. So now with the receiver there, we're going to go and create a um, uh, GitHub. So update connection status and public record command. This is going to have long installation ID, period tenant identifier, and string status. I command. There's no point in a result because the receiver just says, "Yep, I got it." If I wanted to try and later on, if I want to try and bind whether I commit the message to say, "Yeah, Kafka, I've got this. It's all good. I processed it fine." I could potentially do that in here, and that would mean that passing the result back would be valid because then I'd say, "No, it failed to do this." But for right now, I don't really worry about that. Everything here is so atomic that I'm not that worried. Handler. It's going to be an iRepository of GitHub connection repository. I command handler of command. Yes, you can have your thing. So over here, we'll do async. We'll do await send new update connection status. That's going to be event installation ID. It's going to be cancellation token. There we go. Is that history? Historami? That's what you're building. Right now, I am building a GitHub workflow to install GitHub into the application. Overall, I'm building a project management application. Welcome in. In a minute, I'll be able to show what the application looks like. I do not have a framework laptop, no. I have a framework desktop, but not a laptop. I was looking at the laptops, I'm like, I do think that I could go and sit on the couch a bit more and get away from the actual machine in here. But at the same time, I don't think I'd use it that much. So if I disgust you, I'm sorry. I did just buy an Intel B70 card. On me. But I don't have. Or what are you building? So if you've not seen this project before, this is Kaizu. Kaizu is a project management and planning application built over the last couple of years. It's a distributed system. Future is VR and AI chatbots, no humanity. It is the future, yes. And I stream the development of it a couple of times a week. You are more than welcome to ask questions. If you have any thoughts or opinions on what I'm building, you are more than welcome to share, even if they are bad. If you think I'm crazy, that is perfectly fine. So what we're going to do here is we are going to try and get the connection. So var connection equals await repository dot first to default async, and we're going to do, in this case, we're going to have we want to deal with, I could do the new GitHub connection by installation ID spec command dot install installation ID. Okay, dogs. Okay, lie down. If connection is null, return unit.ly. There's no reason for it to be null. Actually, no, there's no argument, null exception dot throw if null. Connection. If we get to this point and that is null, then the system is broken, and I do want to notify. So yeah. Otherwise, what we're going to do is going to connection.status, installation status equals command.status. Do we have an updated? Chris, thank you for the look, Mojo. I like WTF are you building? What are you building? No comment, and then all the views go away on YouTube. Like, it's okay to ask a question. It's fine to if you don't understand it, you're interested in seeing it. That's fine. But you found a dev stream on YouTube, which is hard enough. We'll let the robot do that. We'll go to here, public date time last updated. I want to track that. I need to get better at my date time patterns, especially when I get to testing. Then we're going to do await repository, update async, connection cancellation token. Return unit.value. Everything worked fine. If this throws, I believe that I've got it that Kafka wouldn't commit. So, but there could be a situation where I do want to manually say, yeah, this is incorrect state. It's not an exception, but it's not correct. And return. So that's what I'm talking about before when I said maybe I had please Please, 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 please have done it on the right database. Yeah, you did. Okay. I made a change. So I use Claude to add columns and migrations for me, etc. So I say add the column, it creates a migration and runs it against the database for me immediately. But the other day, because I mentioned the word GitHub, it assumed that I meant the GitHub components would put all the tables and columns that was changing in the GitHub database. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Wrong database. I said organization management. So learning every day to be a little bit more clear with the robots. Okay, so we have a receiver. We have a consumer of that. We have the topic is added. So again, if I go to here, go there, you can see connection status is there. So in theory, if I go back into the application at this point, I should be able to get the status of the record in this table when it appears to say connected. In theory. Or completed, rather. Do I want complete? Actually, before I start that up, do I want completed or do I want connected? Oh, it's still launching, that's why. It got far enough along that it was actually launching the applications. Connected. It goes from pending to connected, right? So from here, what I need to do is once this has happened, I need to publish a further event to say, no, I need to listen to those events from the view side and capture the current status. So there's a whole view component to come yet. Overall, this has taken me maybe 6 or 7 hours of actual coding time. But I've learned a lot through it. Okay, so refresh that. App should be running. Everything's up and started. Oh, we missed something already. We missed a thing. So one of the problems doing it this way is essentially I start every single service every single time. It would be ideal to not have to do that. That might be something I can try and look at. But right now, that is the way things are. So I need to reference. Oh, come on. I don't know what is going wrong with my mouse. Reference. So this is our new one, the receivers. I need to reference that. And then build a, can't do it that way. Builder.add project, organization, receivers. Um, I'll make it happen, but I don't think. You know, I don't think they're used on the other side because I only reference this to the API part, so I don't need a reference to the receiver side. But it's fine. That's fine. So, okay, we now can run that. So now the receivers project will start up as well, which means we've got now 22 services in the startup. We have Kafka, or Red Panda, Consul, Redis, Postgres. RabbitMQ is going to go away, but yeah, SQL Server is died. No wonder my machine's struggling. Why do you still start up? That doesn't need to run. That doesn't need to run. I don't think anything in the application is going to fail if I stop them. Now we have 22 resources here. It's fine. So we go over here. See, Stony, you'd have the perfect time to start if you wanted to right now. I could just head straight over and spend some time with you before I start work. But no, no, no time for Stony. So we go to connections now. Now again, this view now is not going to get updated. We're going to have to create the event to subscribe to that. So the view receiver is going to have to listen to it, which is fine. So we go connect. We go to continue to GitHub. This should add. Yep. So I removed it before because I changed the SME link to realize I doxed myself with it, essentially. And there we go. Now that's connected. So now that GitHub connection is pending. State tokens removed. Records there. Okay, so that one probably failed. Okay. That's fine. Probably missing some. I was missing something in here before. An ARM motherboard. Huh. And it has Oculink on it. Oculink would be, yeah. Can't stand my Windows on ARM laptop. If I was going to buy a laptop, I wouldn't be putting Windows on it anymore. I think Linux is more than proven. It's yeah. No, I've got a dock for an Oculink. What device is it? Oh, I have I have I have a One Player X um, tablet gaming laptop thing that has an Oculink on it. That's a Ryzen 370 though. Yeah, yeah. But the Oculink stuff is very fascinating. Like I've got the dock for the Oculink, I just haven't used it yet. Um, they've done a GPU module that's just an Oculink interface. Huh. Okay. You can just do external. Fascinating. Huh. Very interesting. Okay. Did that event ever come through? No. So we lost an event somewhere in the process there, which is sad. I would have liked to finish that out. Did it publish is the question. Oh, you know why it probably didn't publish? You don't have a freaking outbox on the other side. The new ones have a touchscreen? Damn. Okay. Cool. Well, as much as I want to see this through. So the thing I'm missing there is I have configured Kafka, but I've got an outbox publisher, but I don't have any Kafka. Um, there's no publishing service. I don't think I set the configuration up to have. I did on this side, but I don't think I set up. Yeah. So you need to do app dot configure Kafka SQL outbox app dot configure SQL outbox. Those need to be there for the actual outbox to function. So that's not going to help me right now. So running that would be completely useless. Well, ultimately, we do have that installation working pretty well. There's no tables for it to store in. That's what that means. When I start this now, what you'll see is another schema will appear that will be outbox. So I isolate the outbox behavior from the actual data very intentionally. Well, there's anyone got any recommendations for who you want to see, who you want to go raid to? Because the pickings are getting ever slimmer on Twitch. Seems Dev is light. There you go. So there's an outbox now. So now what should have happened is when that message got published, it would have got in here. But because I fired it off into an outbox, it probably errored. But now it's too late to do it because I don't want to redo all that again. So yeah, I mean, I can just change for the sake of right connected. I can do that. That's what I would have done, and we did it on. There we go. We did it then. So yeah, cool. Well, that is going to be me for today. Over the weekend, I hope to get the actual PRs and stuff showing. So then, what's going to happen is when you go into the deliveries, you'll be able to see. Come on, wakey wakey. You have any issues, buddy? Come on, everything's running. You'll be able to see the status of any PRs. So if it's got a PR, we'll show the icons, the traditional GitHub icons. We'll show that it's not merged, etc. And then I'm gonna have to start creating dummy PRs on a dummy project just to track these things. So over the weekend, I'm going to work on the pulling out from the branch requests and stuff, the tag of a project, and then publish it to the system and capture all that. So lots of stuff to come, lots of stuff to do, but it's coming along. So yeah, that is that. Anyone got a raid target? And nice, maybe redeeming the last. Awesome. Thank you. It's prop streaming in English. It's kind of in English right now, I suppose. So we'll go raid props. I will be back next week. And we will resume there. I have been dropping the Wednesday stream because I've been doing karate. I don't know if I'll switch to another night stream yet, but we'll see. I might do 3 morning streams at some point. But yeah, that's me for today. Thank you very much. If you are interested in knowing more about this, you're more than welcome to join the Discord. That's linked in the cards below, both on YouTube and on Twitch. And yeah, I will see you all later. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.